Heroines of Romantasy, crafting strong female leads, finding love and facing danger. We can't do it without our moderator steering the ship. Please welcome USA Today book reporter Clair Mulroy.
Wow, there's so many people here.
Hi, everyone. I am USA Today's books reporter, which is the coolest job in the world, and it's so lovely that I get to be here, chatting about books with amazing authors like this. I'm like, gesturing to empty chairs, but they're gonna be here, and they're gonna be great. This is the Heroines of Romantasy. We're chatting about how authors craft badass characters and that, deal with obstacles and danger and fall in love and have plenty of triumphs in the end, too. I'm honored to be up on this stage with such beloved authors that you all have read. And then first, I would like to welcome to the stage the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Hades and Persephone saga and Terror at the Gates. This is Scarlett St. Clair. Also joining us on this stage is the #1 New York Times and Sunday Times bestselling author of The Night and the Moth. This is Rachel Gillig. Give a warm round of applause for the #1 New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of the Crowns of Nyaxia series. It's Carissa Broadbent. And last but certainly not least, we have the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Red Queen series and her upcoming adult debut, Tempest. It's Victoria Aveyard. Thank you guys for joining me here. I mean, isn't this just insane? The energy in this room, the sheer amount of book lovers throughout this weekend and in this room, how are you all feeling like looking out and seeing this right now?
They told us backstage this is a 3,000 person room, and we all just kind of went,
I walked in and I saw this room and I'm like, this is a mistake, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I didn't look around at all. I just go where they take me. This is fantastic, though.
I texted my bonus mom and said, I'm gonna vomit, so. JK.
authors, they're just like us.
The best type of people to be in a room with, of course, book lovers, and I'm so excited to get into like the nerdy craft questions about how you bring your characters to life, how you create the worlds that so many of us love. I wanted to start by asking, and feel free, we can go in order, you can jump around, whoever has something to say first. Where do you find inspiration? I mean, where does character building start for you?
You're looking at me?
I'm looking at you, but whoever can answer.
My one dream for this was to not go first. I just hear voices in my head and they say something interesting, and it's usually couples because I write romance. And so it'll start with a couple lines or a few scenes, and then they will build the world sort of around that. So I'm sure it's influenced by other things. Like at some point I was like, I want to write a fantasy mafia, and started hearing like Lilith and Zahariv talk in my head, and then it sort of spiraled into like also Lilith and also biblical and also weird demon blobs and like Flubber, think Flubber. Yeah, so I think they kind of feed it, but it just lives up there and comes out. That's not helpful, but.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. It's always hard to, when people ask about inspiration, I was like, well, when I was born, and then up to now, and like, let me point out all the things that I've been interested in since then. Like, I can't do that, but I will say I am a visual person, and so I usually, when a book starts, I have an image in mind. The Shepherd King duology, if you've read it, the first. Anyway, thank you. The first visual I had of that was a young woman walking down a very misty road. And then for The Night in the Moth, it was a cathedral up on a very high space. And I don't know, it just visually, those things interest me, and the story unwinds, goes through so many changes, but it starts there. So, yeah.
It's funny to answer this question right now when I'm having a very, very hard time with a book. And I'm like, ideas, I've never had a good one before. Like, I'll never have a good one again. There will never be another good idea. But actually, when I try to like force myself, when I try to break down my process into something that's digestible, a lot of times theme is where I start. Like with all of my books, the romance and the plot are very heavily influenced by theme. It's like the first thing that I come up with. So then I know, like, what am I talking about? Like, what's the point of any of this? And then I just kind of like blob around on the floor. And I'm like, oh no, I'll never write another good book. And my husband is like, you say this every time. It's been 12 books. It'll be fine. And I'm like, no, this time it's true. It's different. And then somehow it all comes together. I don't know how.
The crux of this is it's different for every single one of us. It's different for every single author. I do resonate with the visual element. For Red Queen, that was the first thing I saw in my head, was the image of a girl in an arena who's about to be executed. And I think something we all do is we ask questions of why. Who is this person? How does she exist? And those questions help us start building the story and the world. Another thing I think we all come back to is the points of inspiration can be different, but we always come to our concept. What kind of story are we trying to tell? What thing are we in conversation with that we loved? What shoulders are we trying to stand on? So in my second series, my question was the what if. What would have happened if the Fellowship of the Ring had set out to save the world and failed? Who gets to be the B team of saving the world, essentially? And then for Tempest, it was just Pirates of the Caribbean has left such a hole in my heart and an itch I have been trying to scratch, and I hope I scratched it.
How obsessed? So I think we're the same age. So you were in middle school-ish, 8th grade, 7th grade when it came out?
I was 13 years old, clawed to the theater seat when those credits came up and thought, I just went on an adventure.
I remember on my slow-ass, like, dial-up internet going to, like, Disney.com and, like, waiting for it to buffer forever. It was the one scene where Will Turner meets Jack Sparrow for the first time, and they're coming in that whatever room with the donkey.
It's a blacksmith's workshop.
Okay, so yeah, sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, and I was downloading that for hours, and my parents were like, what are you doing? Like, this is really important. And then I bought, with my child money, a full, like, poster for the theatric poster.
My first books were basically Pirates of the Caribbean fan fiction.
It meant
so
a
I'm
lot
all about
to me.
this.
Yeah. So
I remember the QuickTime load bar for the Return of the King trailer.
Oh, yeah.
I set that on.
I literally remember the visual. They had one of those big, like, the Nazgul coming down on Minas Tirith. I was like, yes!
It was Requiem for a Dream soundtrack. It was amazing. Anyway, welcome to our panel talking about Pirates of the Caribbean and Lord of the Rings.
We could have a whole panel on just like the childhood fantasy favorites.
Sorry, you're moderating.
No. I was just enjoying like all of you. I was like, yes, and like, but I feel like for, as readers, I mean, something that draws us, to books that are foundational, to worlds that are is the world building that feels so atmospheric. And I know you all work so hard to build that in yours. And I'm curious, like, where do you start with the world building, and is there a piece of world building that you've been really proud of that you think maybe readers have missed or they haven't given enough love to?
Maps, forever maps. But I think that's a question we can all talk about, because some people do not like maps at all. And some people...
Bane of my existence.
Wait, you said you hate them? I can't really hear. There's an echo. There's like multiple voices. And she's like, hate.
That's how I feel. Hate. I had to do a map for a series I wrote 5 years ago for the War of Lost Hearts series for like a traditional realist. Thank you. Imagine doing a map for a book that you wrote 5 years ago.
How did you write it without the map to start?
Yeah, did you not draw one for yourself?
there were, I was following the compass of my heart.
Carissa, I did the same thing. And I was like, no one wants a map. And then everyone started asking for a map. And I was like, y'all want a map? So then I drew my own maps. They were really bad. But yeah, I did the same thing.
I think I had to Control F. This is like thousands of pages, epic fantasy trilogy, thousands of pages. Control F, east, west, south, north, northwest. Like I just Control F'd all the cardinal directions just to like check myself to be like, it's been years. Anyway, so I'm the least professional one here.
I'm like really impressed by your brain that you can like keep up with that. Like that is a level, it's very impressive.
This is why you have to make the maps first, and I'm here to convince you.
I know. No, I learned my lesson. I now do the maps earlier. There was like kind of maps, but they were like little shitty maps for me, you know? And then we're making 5 years later a real map, and I'm like...
Victoria, you start with a map? So you do the map and then that's...
I learned you don't start with plate tectonics. That's too far back.
Oh my God. I didn't have to do a map for the Shepherd King duology because it's like, there's a building, and there's mist, and there's a building. So honestly, the cardinal directions are completely... No, is there a road? Who knows? We can't see it. However, when I did The Knight and the Moth, and I did want it to be a less of an insular world, I did draw a map very early on for myself, and then I gave that to the professionals, and then they put it in the book. Because... My fantasy is a movement fantasy. It's like, you could call it a quest, and so I had to orient myself in that. I wouldn't say I'm directionally gifted, so just in keeping it in my own head. So yeah, I appreciate a map, for sure.
Raise your hand in this room if you would consider yourself a hopeless romantic. Yeah, that's exactly what I figured. I think the other part of this, you know, there's world building, there's quests, there's high stakes, but romance draws us, you know, a lot of us to your books, and in your stories, romance can be a source of power, it can be conflict, it can be transformation rather than subplot. I'm curious, you know, how do you decide when love should save a character versus when it should complicate or endanger them?
I feel like we're...
Thanks, guys.
Good question.
Why not both? I mean, I think to me, a compelling romance does both of those things. Like, I am often asked the question, oh, how do you balance, you guys probably all get this question all the time too, how do you balance romance and plot? And I'm always like, I can't answer that question because they're like this, you know, they're intertwined. And if they're not, like if I find myself being like, oh, the balance is off, then that tells me that the romance is not integral enough to the plot because they are inextricable from each other. So I think that falling in love is terrifying in all of the ways that it's amazing. And usually that's how my characters feel as well. So it's a source of both danger and comfort to them because that vulnerability is the danger.
Yeah, one of our through lines, I think, in all of our work is we write books that move very quickly. Every scene has to advance the story. Every scene has to matter. So you are working with that. I got to keep the tension up. I got to keep the stakes high. I got to keep the reader turning the page. So you might have scenes you want to linger in, or you might have moments you might want to just see between the two characters, but what other thing is it doing? And we always have to make that calculation.
I want to add to the vulnerability part of like a character. There and the tension, okay. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be a romance, but I do find that romance and a character's forced to be vulnerable as part of their arc, which is looking at themselves clearly, look at their world clearly. I'll use The Knight and the Moth, for example. The quest is internal as well as external. And a huge catalyst for an internal quest is to have someone directly challenging someone's worldviews. And that works very well for tension if that is a romantic interest. It doesn't have to be, but I find them quite inextricable. I think I lean into romantasy and romance because I find it's a beautiful way to discover who the character really is and where they are at as well, especially if those characters challenge each other. So honestly, for a character to get from A at the beginning to B to the end, I've never done it, I don't think, without some level of vulnerability that includes a romance. So it's just character dissection, make them feel messy and exposed and all that, literally and figuratively. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's multiple like dynamics to romance, right? We all want partnership, even if it's not romantic, you know. And I think that's so lovely, and it's often made fun of in media and society at large. And I think there's something unfortunate about that because it's a desire on all our parts. And a lot of things can be romantic. You can have, you know, a friendship that's very romantic, and found family that can be romantic in a way. So yeah, I think the dynamics of that are very important in books. I mean, that's what I seek in in Pirates of the Caribbean, one of the things I was most invested in was Elizabeth and Will. Like, that kept me going, right? So, I mean, I think we desire to see that in a lot of our media.
To quote the poet Charlie XCX, everything is romantic. So, yeah.
We are all loving morally gray characters in romantasy these days. What makes a character redeemable for you? And kind of a two-parter here. I mean, have you ever fallen in love with a character that you didn't originally intend readers to fall for?
No, I always know what I intend for the reader. There are definitely characters who I have tapped into in a different way that I didn't expect, and I found, you know, the key into them, and we all do that. We all have to figure out what is the thing in me that hooks into the thing in this person, even if it's the worst of our villains. Those are the best villains, the ones that you kind of understand and maybe you don't agree with, but you understand how they got to this place and have made this decision. In the Red Queen series, I think the character who surprised me the most was Evangeline, who I knew I was going to expand upon later in the book, but I didn't really know how deeply I was going to understand her until later in the book. But I think when it comes to flipping the expectations of the reader, we all really enjoy doing that and really, really are excited to do that. We think about it quite a lot.
Yeah, I love a true morally gray character, and I don't just mean like, oh, this is a hot guy and he'll totally kill someone for you. Like, we love that, but like,
Love that.
we love that, but like actual morally gray. Like, the reader is going to be like, I don't know how to feel about this person. And I think it's interesting you talk about being redeemable, because I have struggled with that, and this is something I struggle with art in general, because I personally feel that art does not necessarily need to reflect a moral absolutism about the actual world. Meaning, there are good characters that have bad things happen to them, and there are bad characters that have good things happen to them, and there are characters who are a mix of both of those things, and maybe their fate is not directly tied to like their moral scale, let's say. So it's a tricky question. I always try to like I said, I write heavily with theme. I come back to theme and kind of like, what question am I grappling with? And a lot of times it is grappling with like the fact that the world is not fair. And I feel like my books should reflect that if I do them well. But I really love complicated, messy characters. I struggle with this all the time, actually. I've really struggled with this one.
My struggle is that I wrote a morally gray character known as the Nightmare, and I had no intention of making him a love interest. Of course, I never thought once, and people are like, wait, is he sexy? I'm like, yeah, he doesn't have a body.
We can work with that.
You know, I mean, oh, no, people have told me all the ways it could work. I love morally gray characters. However, as a reader, I don't read morally gray. I'm intrigued, but I'm never thinking about romance. To be honest, the older I get, like, the ones that make me feel romantic are the really soft, like, sweet ones, which I don't write, so, ooh. But I do find morally gray just as a term. It just means they're a fleshed out character. And it just means that you can't predict them necessarily. And to me, I'm like, if someone says my stuff is morally gray, thank you. I do take it as a compliment, but to me it just means that like we've gone beyond an archetype perhaps, and that feels good. Like we can't predict exactly what they're gonna do or how they're gonna act on the page. So yeah.
I have written quite a few characters who I hated in the beginning, and then I was like, I like you now. But yeah, I think I watch a lot of true crime. And if anything I've learned from that is that anyone can snap at any moment, right? And that's morally gray. And I'm like, everyone has the potential, I think, to, at any point in your life, to make a decision that would make you morally gray, quote unquote. So I think it's just the complication of being human, right? Yeah.
We want flaws, we want someone who feels real. My great challenge, and I don't know what this says about me, I really have to work very, very hard to make the good characters interesting, or at least to have them hold the reader's attention in the same way that the so-called morally gray or even the villains do.
Well, think about the media that we kind of grew up with sometimes too, even if we're going all the way back to Disney. My dad said this at one point when I was a kid watching Disney, and I was like, what's wrong with you? And now he's so right. He's like, the villains have the best lines. They're the funniest. For the most part. But I just do feel like when you start in a place of even mediocrity or goodness, like, you're on a plateau. When you start here, there's so much more room.
They're predictable, and you have to figure out, how do I make them not predictable? Because it's all about a game of balance for you guys, because we want you to care about every single character in the same way. We don't want you to ever say, well, I don't give a shit if that character dies. Yeah, we want you to hold on.
And every story is ultimately, like, especially in fantasy, a lot of our stories are ultimately at their core in some way about a struggle between good and evil, in some way. And in order for that to be compelling, there has to be a struggle. Like, there has to be, if you have, like, this perfect character, and there's never any question as to whether he's gonna fuck up or something, like, that's boring, So you have to show characters who try and fail.
Boring to be self-righteous.
Yeah, right. That would turn into the
It really
villain,
is.
because everyone would hate
But that's
them.
going to bring us into the struggle that we've talked about, which is when a character starts in a place that is maybe not the best place to start, and we know there's an arc coming, but sometimes people don't give them the time to travel along that arc, and then it becomes, well, you condone this, or you believe that this person is correct. It's like, no, just wait. They're growing, I promise.
Patience. This is maybe like a little bit of a messy question, but like I'm curious, so I'm just gonna ask it. Has a main love interest for you ever been inspired by someone specific, someone real?
Nope.
Only superficially. Because I like to draw my characters. I knew Tamino Amer, the musician. I knew Rory would probably look like that because I saw a picture of him with his earring one time. I was like, but no, actually, the character and the writing stage, absolutely not.
Yeah, honestly, no. And no one ever believes me when I say this. It's because they're for a different character who is not me. You know what I mean? Like, I create my love interest for my female main character, and they are like fleshed out people who are very much not me. So they're for someone else.
Don't lie.
It's not on purpose. But my husband did read Tempest and had a few moments where he's like, my mom's gonna read this. And not like a spicy scene, but just like a thing I have noticed about him that ended up on the page. But it's not my fault. The character is a pirate who lives on the sea and has very sun-damaged hair and is quite tan, and his hair is long and it's blonde, and it's not my fault. He just happens to look like that. But it wasn't him in my head.
Happens to look like that.
The ocean does things to you.
Life imitates art.
Clearly
Art
it does things
imitates
to you,
life, I want to talk about spice, but I also want to talk about emotional intimacy too. How we contain multitudes. I mean, how do you decide like what belongs on the page versus what's more powerfully implied? And has that changed for you over your career?
Me, vibes. It's changed for me because when I was indie, I could do whatever I wanted, and I did. And I put like ridiculous sex scenes in my book. Like in A Game of Fate, I wrote a scene. The chapter title is "For Your Pleasure," a montage. Because in every romance, there's a sex montage. And there's a lot of sex in that book, but I also put a whole sex montage in the book. But it's changed over time. And I was thinking, because I read your questions beforehand, and I was like really thinking about this one. Not that I didn't think about the other ones. But I'm like, that's a great question, because I find myself in Coiled at the Roots, like really thinking about like what scenes get more detailed, because I'm very explicit when I write sex scenes. And I was like, which ones get more detail? Did you say no? Oh. I was like, have you read? But I find that the ones that I feel like have the most emotional intimacy are the shorter, brief, less descriptive ones, and the ones that are just like, we're gonna fuck for the fun of it, are like the more detailed ones. And I don't know why I do that. Maybe your answers will enlighten me.
I don't know what I do. I know that I do what I want. Okay, look, I will give this, because I really don't know how to answer this question because I don't, in general, gauge my work accurately. Whatever. I don't know how many spices. I don't know anything, but I will say
How many spices? Turmeric.
Pieces of spice.
Peppers, Rachel, peppers.
I'm so dumb. Okay, but I will say, I had a conversation with someone outside of publishing, but also inside. It was a little bit of a bubble. Anyway, they were asking me for if I were to change One Dark Window as an example to make it accessible to more audiences, or if I were to write with the idea of it could be accessible to anyone, how would the spice be? And I say, I can't write thinking, and for the example of sex, I don't write thinking that it will be palatable to everybody. I write, and it does end up being adult, because I just think that serves the story and serves the characters. I don't try to make my sex scene something that, like, if someone who didn't want a sex scene could read it and they'd be okay, or if someone who wanted a whole lot more, they could get a whole lot more. Like, I don't do that. I just do what I think serves the story and serves the pacing. So far, it's worked for me. You'll have to let me know how many pieces of pepper or pieces of spice you think there are. I know they're there, and I like them there, and I'll continue to do what I want.
I think that's a personal thing, right? Like, they measure the peppers, yeah.
It's all over the place. There's no consistency to this scale.
Everybody's spice tolerance is different in life and in books.
Really? I had an interesting, cover your ears. It's a baby, not a burger. I had kind of an interesting journey with this because I think a lot of us probably came up against this a little bit, except maybe Scarlett, because you were writing like capital R romance, like from the start, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of us kind of came up against this, what we now call romantasy, being shelved YA, for a long time. But I was self-published, so I didn't have to deal with that as much. But I remember writing Daughter of No Worlds, and I was like, oh, this is going to be like an adult book, not young adult. So I would like there to be like an open door sex scene. And I was like so nervous writing it, and I was like, oh my God, this is like so saucy. And then I read it again recently and was like, oh, it's so cute. It's like, it's adorable. And I think I just as an author became more comfortable writing sex scenes. And then I also kind of learned how I approach writing sex scenes the same way I approach writing fight scenes. And I think both of them can be very boring if done incorrectly, because it's like they're very physical, high-octane activities that can be kind of boring to read about on a page, So there's always an arc, There's something happening there, like
a climax, if you will.
A climax, if you will, like a rising and falling action. There's a lot happening on the page. And I realized like how much you can do with that. Like there should be something that is different at the end of the scene than at the beginning of the scene, other than like everyone being a lot more moist.
Don't say that word.
Sorry, cover your ears. But yeah, I think they're fun. I was laughing at your spices because when I wrote Serpent in the Wings of Night, there's one proper sex scene in that book. But when I wrote it, I was like, this is like 6,000 words long. Like you're describing like skin folds, like there's all kinds of description. I was like, this is almost too much. And then people were like,
half a pepper?
Yeah, they were like, too bad it's not spicy. And I'm like, I don't know.
I get one chili pepper sometimes with the spice of my books, and I'm like, what are you reading? I need
and where
to
do
know.
I find it?
Because if I am one pepper,
That's the great challenge. That is the question I'm getting constantly with Tempest because it's my first adult novel.
How many peppers?
How many peppers? And
You
I don't know your pepper tolerance.
How many sex scenes?
I know, yes, it's like, and I know what it is for me, and on the scale of my own writing, it is by far the spiciest thing I've ever written, but that is, thanks. That is just by dint of my last 8 books were YA. And so the demands of the genre and the demands of the story were totally different. The intentions are totally different. But I really resonate with what Rachel said about, the story tells you what it needs to be. And I think one of our great challenges is setting the expectations of the audience correctly. And I struggle so much with the pepper scale and the romantasy genre label because it is such a spectrum. It is so hard to nail down a real definition. And so I never want to give the reader the wrong expectation because we never want you to be disappointed. We don't want you to pick up a book and think you're going to get something you're not going to get and be disappointed in the experience. So it's hard to find common language so I can set your expectations properly.
Are there any authors that you read who are doing like spice and emotional intimacy and romance on the page in your way you're like, God, I wish I wrote that? Or like who really inspire you, who you think do it really well?
I love tension and yearning. I love the slow burn. For me, unless there's something keeping the stakes high and the tension, once the core couple solidifies, I lose some of my interest. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I did not expect you to say that.
Merges. Avatar braid hook. Unless there's something keeping the tension in the air, I lose a little bit of my interest, and so for me, that's what I really gravitate towards. And I think Catherine Arden with the Bear and the Nightingale series, that 3 books, oh my God, she drew it out, and then she did it in a way that I really, really, really liked.
In terms of like the actual, now everything's a double entendre, the actual mechanics of writing a sex scene. Because I think the actual writing of the actual stuff is is difficult. Naima Simone, all of her books and her sex scenes are just so well done. And it was like the first time I actually cannot even remember the book, but it was one of her contemporaries, and it was like it was the spiciest book I had ever read. It was a book that was like, a huge chunk of it was sex. And I was just like, wow, she still manages to make this like so compelling and interesting, and it's not boring, and there's still character stuff happening, and then like the actual scenes themselves are just so well described, and so like they still manage to be sexy even though you're doing it for like so many pages. She's really good, really good.
The question being, what would you wish you had written yourself? So many things. I'm a big fan of Alex Harrow. Who was here yesterday, today? Alex, are you out there? The Everlasting, one of the best books I've read in a long time. Her sex scenes, she would describe it as she has, so I feel comfortable saying it as the more sexually explicit of her work thus far. So beautifully done. And I think, honestly, it comes down to developing taste sometimes comes from figuring out what you don't like about certain things. And I know that sometimes I'll read a book, and when the romantic, like, pun intended, the climax happens, and then I lose interest. I'm like, oh no, it's because there's other parts of the book I didn't like as well. But I know the books that the romance doesn't even have sex sometimes. Like, I'm a huge T. Kingfisher fan, and they literally, like, they hold hands and nettle and bone. I'm like, ah! Like, I just love it so much. So, like, the stuff that I wish I had written earlier that had been mine is the stuff that is so compelling because the characters work together, because the characters are so fleshed out, and you feel the tension just because they're both existing on the page. I agree about the tension thing too, because I grew up reading a lot of young adult, and that was the young adult advantage. Also, I'm sorry, I'm so raspy. I had to speak yesterday to people and today, and I never talked to anyone. I'm not sick, I'm just really raspy. I'm sorry. Yes, the stories that I feel, like I fall in love. Even if there's no sex on the page, if I feel like it's really tender, I love that. I'm just getting old, I'm fucking soft, I don't know. Just let them hold hands, God, I don't know. And I love writing the sex scenes. I'm gonna keep writing sex scenes. They're not just holding hands in my book, don't get me wrong, but like these are the ones that I think about a lot too. I think about them long after I'm done. But The Everlasting particularly, I think does both very, very well.
You like feral for crumbs.
I am.
Yes.
Well, I grew up also, I'm like reading Jane Austen, and I'm like,
We love the brush of a hand, the
Yeah,
back
yeah,
of
I
a
do.
knuckle. Oh God, get
like
a back of a
like
knuckle.
the 1995 BBC one where he comes out of the
that's my
pond
favorite.
and everyone's like, yes.
Love that one.
Or even like my gothic, like, I'm not here to make fun of Wuthering Heights, the adaptation. I won't do that. But I will say, I was talking about the gothic lit, and for something else, I was talking about how like the original Wuthering Heights is actually so like freaky. Like if you want to get freaky, like it's there, and those are the things. And so when you're used to looking at the crumbs, like it's there if you need it. So that's how I grew up reading stuff too. So it isn't necessarily explicit written out like, oh, Heathcliff digs up her body, but it's there. So anyway, sorry. That's not.
Don't apologize.
Go ahead.
I've always wanted to write Six of Crows. I wish I'd written that series because I love Kaz and Inej, and they didn't fuck at all. But I'm like, damn, that would have been great. But okay, so I was a librarian for 5 years. I worked in the public library for 5 years. I have a master's in library science and information studies. So I will always fight for all the spectrum of romance, right? There's value in all of it. And I came into library science not liking romance, thinking it was just, nothing, like there was no plot, right? I was just like, and I was just repeating shit I was told. And I told myself if I was going to go and fight for intellectual freedom, I was going to have to know what the fuck I was talking about. And I went to my teen librarian at the time. She was a big romance reader, and I was like, where should I start in romance? And she said The Madness of Lord Ian Mackenzie by Jennifer Ashley. It started me on this like huge whirlwind love of just like Regency romance, explicit sex scenes. Absolutely fucking loved it. They made me feel. That's the important part to me, is any book that can make me feel the way those characters are feeling. It's all that matters to me. And that's what I think is so important about romance, whether or not you're writing little r or big R. So yeah, I wish I had written a lot of books. I wish I had written Mate by Ellie Hazelwood and Bride, because I loved those. And because they made me feel.
I wanted to ask about danger, because I think love too has stakes that sometimes, whether or not the character is in actual danger, it can feel like that, to us emotionally as readers, to the character, to the writer. Has there ever been a situation where you've tried to put your character in danger that's so bad that you toned it down and you were like, I need to pull out a little?
I need to tell you this. When I was reading the first chapter of Red Queen, my heart raced. I'd never read a book where my heart literally was pounding out of my chest. I was in danger. I was in danger.
Thank you. Well, we're talking about physical danger, emotional danger, the vulnerability. That's the thing that you key into, is making the reader and the character feel like something is going to be taken away from them. I don't know, it's just so, we're all visual writers, we're all cinematic writers, we're all propulsive writers. It's all about keeping pace with the reader and not giving you any time to catch your breath. I think that's what we all
You
try.
didn't. That was years ago too.
And there was no pepper in that scene.
I was dying, and this is a really weird moment for me, because literally being a librarian for all those years, I read all these authors I get to meet now and be on a fucking stage with, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, tangent. But when I was on my edit call for One Dark Window, which is the call you get when the editor was just basically making sure I wasn't a little psycho or something before they decided to buy One Dark Window. I don't do on-the-spot questions. At the time, I do them better now, obviously, because I'm here, but at the time I didn't do them well. And they're like, what are some books that you really that are in the space right now that you're really, and Red Queen wasn't, it's young adult, I was going to adult, it wasn't in the space where I love Victoria Aveyard. I really like Red Queen. And she's like, yeah, those are great. Not in my genre, not in anything. I got the book deal, so obviously I wasn't a little freak. But I'm like, that's why I think about that all the time, because I loved them. I loved them so much when they came out. What was the question about?
It was danger. I'm
Have
so
you ever
sorry.
put-
Like about me.
Have you ever put your character in a dangerous situation that was almost like too dangerous that you were like, I can't?
Isn't that the point? Like, I wanted
You
to-
ever like pulled back
Well,
on
like,
it?
if you think everyone is gonna be wonderful, don't read the book. No, I've said like the genre is, like Victoria said, like the pulsing, Jesus Christ, the pacing and the, yeah, it's like watching. I'm not here to shit on TV series and movies. It's like watching the new Star Wars. You're knowing no one's gonna get hurt, and then you're watching the original and Luke Skywalker gets his hand chopped off. Like, you are worried. And then versus you watching something and you think everyone's gonna be fine, there's not the stakes. So you do have to worry people. You do have to put them in the danger in that they are concerned. They've grown attached to the characters and now you yank them.
I think it's more so you don't want to put the reader in so much emotional danger themselves that they disconnect from the story.
Oh no, they don't want to, exactly. They need to be invested.
Yes, you don't want them to get to a place where they are numb to losing a character, to pain. I think
they're having a trauma response.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think A Song of Ice and Fire flirted with that a couple of times where you're like, every single person! Oberyn Martell, Pedro Pascal, why did we have to do that?
Wait, that's so
It still
true.
hurts. It still hurts.
But it's a delicate balance. I want you to care so much, but I don't want you to close yourself off to protect yourself from the pain that I will inflict.
Yeah, I think the danger always has to exist. And I think we all write pretty dark stuff to some extent.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah. I think that this has also been like a big topic of discussion in the romantasy world in particular because of like, my personal feeling as a reader is that an HEA, a happily ever after ending for a main romantic couple, does not have to mean like kind of like a flowers and cupcakes ending for like the story and world as a whole. I think that it's totally possible to give a satisfying conclusion to a romantic arc while also having, like, maybe not everything is happy, you know? Maybe there are very, very major characters who die. Like, maybe big things happen. And that's just, I mean, I know there are subgenres where that does not, I mean, I'm not talking about, like, cozy, you know, that's like a whole,
This is not the cozy panel.
Yeah, no. And I feel like there have been times, like the ending of the War of Lost Hearts trilogy, it is a very bittersweet ending, and I was very nervous about reader reception to that. Thankfully, most people seem to like the pain, so thank you for sticking it out.
Yeah, thank you all for being here today.
Thank you for sticking it out. The only time I actually really considered taking something out was actually for a recent book I was working on, and it was for like a personal reason. Like there was a miscarriage subplot in the book, and I had it planned out, and then I myself experienced 2 miscarriages, like while I was working on the book, and I was like, I really thought about it, like, should I, for myself, like, take it out? But I think that's why we read dark stuff, right? To like be able to work through it and experience it and kind of, you know, rationalize it in our own way. And like, as a writer, it helped me do that as someone who was dealing with that thing, and I hope that with all the dark stuff that I write in my books, that it helps readers work through things in their own way too.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I want to talk about the reason that we're all in this room, which is you guys, the readers, the fans. And we all love theorizing. Like, I know you guys are on the Reddit threads, the TikTok comments, like and sometimes like readers get really close when they're making up their, getting to the fan theories, when they're getting to the core of like, what's gonna be in the next book. What goes through your mind when readers correctly predict a twist or a relationship arc? Is it like pride? Is it panic? Is it an urge to like change everything? What are you feeling in that moment?
Well, For me, I think the best, especially when you think of twists or someone predicting what's going to happen, the best twists are the ones that you left the breadcrumbs, and it's not when the reader goes, oh my God, that came so out of left field, I never saw it coming. It's, how did I not see that coming? That manipulation of, I gave you all the clues, Mr. Snowman. Nope, nobody saw the snowman. I want that moment of you being like, I performed a magic spell, essentially, and I gave you what you needed, and you didn't want to see it. But it is interesting in terms of twists, characters. I forgot the question. I just thought I would get there as I was spinning out.
Say that again. Sorry, the echo was like a little crazy. I was like,
I forgot the question,
Okay,
and
yes, of course.
I thought I would find it like
I have
Michael
the card.
Scott, and
yeah, the
I
question
didn't.
was like, what goes through your mind when you're seeing like someone get it right or get it a little close?
Well, that's the beauty of, at least with a series, especially in YA, is you put out a book a year, and you're usually ahead of the readers. And when they do catch up, because I do read Goodreads.
What? No.
Why?
You guys don't read Goodreads?
I would be in a.
Would I want to laugh?
I would be a comatose.
Like, now that the Tempest arcs are out, I refresh it twice a day.
I would rather kill myself.
Victoria, you're a particular kind of person.
I
like a
have
toxic
to know
relationship.
how it's landing. It's okay if they don't like it.
But
I just want to know how it's
You handle it so well.
This is from fan fiction. I really think so, because I was like 14 years old, writing under the covers. I would hit submit at night, so I knew I could wake up and read my reviews in the morning.
I could never.
They become useless to you at a certain point. Like, once a book is out, there's not really much point to go back to that unless you're having a really bad day and you want to make it worse. But no, while a book is coming out, I like to know how you guys are feeling. And luckily, Tempest 2 was submitted last week, so.
That's amazing. That was fast.
I accidentally wrote the whole thing and had to split it in half.
Oh yeah.
I set out to write one book and failed miserably.
Love a duology. I don't read my Goodreads because...
So you're like blissfully unaware of the fan theories in the first place.
You love yourself. You don't read
I know,
Goodreads.
like, no, when people hate it, good? Like, they get to? I don't know, I just don't think people, it's too late for constructive criticism. I am stubborn, and I'll be like, no. If I read something that was like the best, like, I just can't have too many voices anyway. I have my agent who rips me to shreds in the best way, my editor who rips me even harder. Like, that's all we can do. We were talking about therefore, am I upset if people get a twist? I don't think I do twists very well. I am more of like, whoop-be-doo, and then people are like, I knew it was coming. I was like, I think I am pretty obvious. I don't think I get the gotcha moments with mine. It's more like a slow creep and a kind of like, you might even know before the idiot protagonist. Sorry, Elspeth. But I do. So when people do get it, I don't feel any kind of way. I'm like, okay. And when they are surprised, I am happy for them. And I would say, have people guessed? People I have seen, not on Goodreads, but I do have a book coming out, The Knave and the Moon, which is the sequel to the. I have seen some theories, and I do see some incorrect theories. I do see some correct ones.
What do you do if the theory is better than what you have planned? Because there's a reason I don't read fan fiction of my own work, because I don't want to read someone do it better.
Oh, I literally have never looked mine up.
But what if the theory, you're like, that's actually a good idea?
I know. You're like, oh, well, I am in developmental edits. Whoa. Not giving credit to. Anyway, no, I don't look at fan fiction of my own. I did years ago because I was like, what if? And then I saw it, and then I was like, what the fuck? Like, I felt like I was intruding. I don't know. I'm stupid. I don't do these. No, sweetie, no. What do you do? Do you go on Goodreads? I know you don't.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. I have this feeling the internet is not real. If you don't look at it, it doesn't exist.
She keeps telling me this.
I
like,
keep
that sounds
repeating
so
this.
healthy.
It's because if I did, I'm a delicate little baby, and I would go insane. Like, I think I would never be creative again. No, seriously though, if I looked at my Goodreads, I feel like it it would hurt, like, it would hurt my creative process. And also, you know, as Rachel said, it's done. It's like I can't change it anyway. So I actually would not really know, I think, if somebody caught something, because I shield myself. Like, I have beta readers who I really trust. I have editors, I have my agent, I have all these trusted voices who help me shape my stories. But I try to kind of keep focused. I always think about, like, I had a book club for like 10 minutes once, and there were like 5 of us. And one of the books we read was The Song of Achilles. And it is my favorite book of all time. It's so good. I read it and I was like, oh my God, like I was devastated. Also, I'm like one of 10 people who did not know the myth. So the ending really got me. Like, I did not know what was coming. No. And we come back, right? And I was like, guys, this is the best book ever written, right? Like, this is the best thing I've ever read. And they're like, I read like 30% of it. And I'm like, so I always think of that.
You fired your book club, and then you're like, get out of here.
Yeah, I was like, they wanted to read some true crime thing next, and I was like, whatever, I don't trust you guys anymore.
How do you know if people like your books?
Sometimes they tell me.
Did you just say, how do you know if people like your books?
If you're not reading the Goodreads.
You guys are all here, right?
Yeah, right?
They rolled up, like.
Hopefully they do. I look at my royalty statements,
Looks at her
and I
sales numbers.
Looks good.
The numbers do the talking.
I did have to lecture my parents about not responding to Goodreads reviews. Because I was 24 when Red Queen first published, and my dad was ready to figure out how to leave a comment. And I was like, no, sir, please don't do that. You will get me in so much trouble.
Yeah, I was not mature enough. I'm not mature enough to read my Goodreads reviews. But also, you know, all that matters is that readers come up to me and say, my books changed their life, and that's all the feedback I need. And in regard to your question...
I don't even remember what the question was anymore.
You got
it in your head. It's about.
You said it, and I lost it.
Spoiler.
Because I have ADHD.
Me too. It was about what do you do when readers get it a little.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't affect me at all. I'm really excited. I'm just excited to have theories. Like, that makes me feel cool. Because I have imposter syndrome really bad right now.
I want to make sure that we have a couple minutes for reader questions here, too. You guys sent in such wonderful and thoughtful questions. This one is from Leandra. It says, what is something that you've personally struggled with or found difficult being strong female writers in a genre that is often deemed less than by others?
Fuck them. Like. I'm one of those stupid people too, where I'm like strong. I'm like, strong female writers. I'm like shuffling, like through my home, like, like, like who cares? Like, we're all here. We're all here. We're all reading these books. This genre is killing it. I don't need to defend it for anything, but I do love going to these events because I love meeting other authors, and a lot of them are women, and I love this space, and no one has come up to me and been like, your genre is less than, or your genre doesn't count for as much. I know they think it, but who fucking cares? Because we're all here right now, and I don't need to defend, we don't need to defend our own stuff, but I do understand, it's not hate to the question whatsoever, because we all are aware of the dialogue about romantasy. I was talking about this just now in an interview. Someone's like, well, what has your experience with it, and do people tend to look down on you for it? And I say the stuff I'm aware of is like, I really liked it, despite it having romance in it. And to me, I'm kind of just like okay. It doesn't count to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just delusional, or I'm just like, you're just saying words. It doesn't mean anything to me. It means what I think it means, which is that, like, it's always hard to write a book. It's a beautiful thing to finish a book no matter what, and what it's about and who it connects with will be personal no matter what. And I know fantasy is a genre that so many people connect with, and romance is something so many people connect with. That's what matters to me.
It's interesting because I feel like it's just a moving target of which genre is doing very well right now, so which genre will we shit on? Because in YA, I used to get that question all the time. When are you going to write a real book? And I'm like, damn, I'll hit you with it. It'll feel pretty real. But it is just, you know, what's on the mountaintop right now? What can we shoot at? Can we try to tear down? And it usually happens to be things that women like and women excel at. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true. I'm sure, Scarlett, you probably have similar feelings to it as I do, because we were both self-published. So we were shit on from the beginning. You know, there were lots of people who said self-published authors, they write like unedited crap. They're just writing, you know, KU schlock, whatever. So I came into it being like, all right, I take my art seriously. I know that I take my craft extremely seriously, just as seriously as any other author, you know, at this convention. But I always knew, like, there were gonna be like some assholes, usually guys, who were gonna be like, you don't write real art. Well, fuck you. I will cry into my piles of money about it. Sorry, it's great.
I was at the airport and the attendant, this guy asked me what I did for a living, which I hate. And I said, I write romantasy. And he said, oh, porn.
Hell yeah. No.
Which I said yes.
Yeah, that's what
But
you gotta
I also
do.
should have said, do you watch porn? Because to me, there's no difference. You're just making fun of women's pleasure. But the other thing about romance that is important is that it addresses a lot of other issues outside of fucking. And if I could just, I don't know, like, get people to understand that through osmosis. Because a big thing I write about is grief, right? I lost my dad to COVID. I lost my brother, my twin brother, out of nowhere 2 years ago. That's very fucking real and connects to people. So romance is not just about the sex. It's really fun to write it. It's really fun to read it. But there are so many more levels to these books than people give them credit for. Frustrates the hell out of me.
Beautiful answers. Thanks, everyone. All right, I've got 2 questions that I think we could do this like rapid fire, so we can get them in here. So like a 1-word answer here. This question is from Jessica. If you had to trade places with one of your main characters, which one would you choose? And Jessica also says, ladies, thank you for your hard work and the love you pour into the pages. All right, starting with you, Scott.
Lilith Leviathan, because that's the best world.
I'd be the gargoyle.
None of them, because I would die. I would not survive.
I guess Mare has indoor plumbing, so that would be Mare.
All right, we're gonna do the same thing for this next question, which is from Edith, which is, other than your publisher, who is the first person that you ask to read your book?
First person to what?
The first person you ask to read your book.
My dad doesn't let me ask, he demands. And so Tempest, that was tough. The second one, he's gonna get a different version than the one my mom's gonna get.
My assistant, Naomi, she's very tough on me. So, cheers for Naomi.
My friend Kaylee Cassidy is also my CP. Yeah, she's written a book too. It's called In the Veins of the Drowning. It's amazing. She reads all my stuff.
Well, right now, it's always my artists, like one artist that I work closely with. So right now, it's Lauren Boyle, who does my fairy tale art.
All right. I'm watching the clock. I'm like, I feel like I'm like game time here. I think we can do one more rapid fire. We got it. Which is, give me one word to describe your upcoming project, your next book.
Hell.
You're going first.
It's just hell.
Tournament.
Intense, most intense one.
Swashbuckling.
Give it up for these authors, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and for reading.
One more time, make some noise for these authors, y'all.